Welcome back to some more Create Integrated. Now, the last few episodes, Ars has been heavily on my mind, and Ars Nouveau is also going to be something we're going to work on today. But this is the point where Ars is going to be even more integrated into Create. See, I've got some big plans to upgrade my gear, and in doing this, we are going to get ourselves the Technomancer set. And this incorporates Create into Ars Nouveau, and I'm pretty excited about this. But now, in order for us to upgrade this gear and actually get into it, we are going to need Netherite ingots, which means we're going to have to farm in the Nether just a little bit for some Netherite. But I have a fantastic method of doing this. But we also need to take on Ars Nouveau's boss, which really shouldn't be that bad considering we have a pretty OP spell. This spell right here, which is going to, well, provide us with a very quick burst of just passive damage. And so this should be able to hurt the wild in quite a bit. But now today is also the day that I want to try and re-roll some more relics, because there's also a lot of relics that we don't have that will give us even more effects from Ars. So I think today would be a pretty good day to kind of work on those, especially if we're going to be fighting this big bad boss that has multiple waves and also has a lot of health. So now, first thing on the list, we need to find ancient debris. Now, I have a couple of tools in my arsenal to be able to help me with this. One, we already have a barterer, which does provide us with tons of fire-resistant potions. This is very, very nice, and so we'll have some fire resistance on us, which is going to make life a whole lot easier. I don't have to brew up any potions. And then also, I have an enchanter's bow that has the innate projectile, and then allows us to put a ton of AoEs on it. And so we have an explosion with maxed out AoE on an enchanter's bow. This is going to provide us with huge explosions in the Nether. And once we find our first ancient debris, we can use the Tablet of Scrying to allow us to find ores underground. And this is sort of like an X-ray for Ars. Now, another tool that could help us a lot is probably a magic mirror. And I think it's at this point where I probably should make a magic mirror. And Magic Mirror is going to allow us to cast Self and then cast any spell after it. So it's going to have an innate self cast, allowing us to build some spells that have a much longer duration. So for example, we can cast onto ourself with the Magic Mirror, which went somewhere in my inventory. Yes, it went into my new backpack, which I just actually upgraded with a pickup upgrade and a void upgrade, which we're going to need here soon as well. But anyways, Magic Mirror allows us to cast spells onto ourselves, freeing up an extra slot in our spellbook. So, for example, we can change the name of this, and we can create, I think a really good spell would be one that gives us night vision. Night vision is a really powerful thing. So, it has an innate spell cast on self, so we don't have to apply a form. We can just immediately go to Conjure Mage Light. And whenever you cast onto yourself, Conjure Mage Light, it will give you night vision, and it tells you here that it'll give you night vision. And then we can also just extend time on this to the maximum. And then we put this on an enchanted mirror, and it just allows us to enchant ourselves very quickly. Something else that we could also do is have it remove effects and then also cast onto us. So maybe we can try that too. So for example, if we have any sort of effect going on, we could instead have it dispel, which is an effect we can have happen, and then Conjure Mage Light. And so that way, not only is this going to give us night vision, but it is going to dispel any negative effects and then give us night vision. Kind of a cool little thing. You can even have like a heal happen, so you can heal yourself. We can apply a heal prior to this, then we can have it hit with a dispel, and then we can have it hit with Conjure Mage Light. There's all kinds of cool stuff that we can do. But as of right now, I just really want a nightlight. So we'll place this on here, shift right click to apply that spell, and then go back in my bag, which is where the pickup upgrade. I'm going to disable that right now. And now this allows us to cast night vision, and we get it for like a minute and a half with this base spell set. Night vision is incredibly helpful inside of the Nether, where it is usually pretty dark. Now, before I go into the Nether, some things that I also made up are some tablets of scrying, and I grabbed some manipulation essence. These tablets of scrying are what we're going to be able to use to sort of X-ray. You can also use in the overworld, so long as you've silk touched some sort of ore, you can put it inside of the ritual brazier, and it allows you to get 15 minutes of that ore sight, allowing you to find it inside of the walls. Diamond works, all kinds of different ores work. So if you're looking for a very specific ore, use this, and it's going to be really cool. Now that we're inside the Nether, finding a place to set all of this up, oh, that's where things are going to be a little bit harder. We don't want to like mine in areas that are completely filled with lava. So we really need to like sort of scope around and see if we can't find a place on the map that doesn't look like it's completely covered in it. You know what? I think a good space might be this massive biome over here that is completely filled with more redstone. So much redstone to be had here. It's so good. All right, but besides the point of redstone, I do want to pick up netherrack. This is going to be pretty important. And I'm going to put netherrack in this void filter. And so I do have the advanced void upgrade. And so now that I have that filtered, whenever I put netherrack in here, it is going to just void netherrack, which will be very helpful when I have my magnet turned on. That way this backpack will pick up all of that junk and send it into the inventory to be voided, so we don't end up with a massive mess in our inventory. So I think now would be a good time to get this party started. In the map, I'm just going to mine in this direction, and hopefully this lava lake doesn't get in the way. If anything, we can expand left and right, but these explosions are going to be so large that I don't think we're going to have to worry too much. So 3, 2, 1, fire. Oh my. And this is where having that fire protection is going to be really nice. But yes, I need to just keep firing and keep firing until I find my first ancient debris. I'm just going to keep sending it until it goes all the way down underground. And honestly, I'm not too worried about these guys, as they're pretty easy to just one-shot. Taking a look down here at the destruction. Okay, so yes, there is an underground lava lake down here. This is going to make things a little bit harder. You're diving a little bit deeper here. I think I found an area that doesn't have as much lava, so I can continue possibly mining down through here. And hopefully this ends up, you know, landing where I want. It is so satisfying, though, using this tool. There's another sort of lava lake. I'm going to push more in this direction, seeing if I can't potentially get all the way down near the ground here. And would you looky there? Beautiful. This is what I wanted to see, was this just out and exposed like this. So I can mine some of this up, and now that we have an ancient debris, we can place it down inside of a brazier, and I can actually augment this. So we'll take the tablet of scrying, we'll activate that. We will place in the ancient debris, and then I'm going to hit it with a manipulation essence to increase it to 15 minutes. And when I activate this, if you've never seen this before, it's going to blow your mind. It should highlight all of the ancient debris that's nearby, so that way we can pop up and mine it all, and we don't have to worry about it. It's going to be so good. And we can also make another break spell with Ars that allows us to break this stuff at a distance. So yes, you can see right there, it is highlighting it. There's also some over here. And now we have just this like X-ray for quite a while. I can pop on over here. Let's see, grab all of this. And then we can also just make a break spell. I think one of our first break spells, this should be really easy to do. We'll create a projectile break. We do need this to be amplified. And I believe just one amplification is, no, 2 amplifications possibly. And then we need a pickup. So pickup is going to put the item in our inventory. And we don't need anything else fancy. We just need that. And so if we technically shoot this, this is picking up, and it should eventually get to the netherite that is over there, the ancient debris, and it should pick it up, and you can see it's now gone. But now it's just a matter of continuing the explosions. Now, something that I accidentally did, and you probably will do it too if you made your mirror the same way, because I put Dispel on here, it also dispels scrying, so good thing I brought 2. But yes, having this break spell, just kind of look at the dots, and eventually you will collect it, just like this. It's so good. Now I'm setting at about 54 ancient debris now, and I have still 4 minutes left on here, so it was about 10 minutes of mining to be able to get that. Doesn't take very long, and this whole area I have gone through, so there's a lot of space I have cleared in that time, I will say. So much. All of this. And it doesn't take too long to do this, so long as you have that, you know, the explosion spell. And I find this way more fun than using a create drill. But you know what? You could possibly combine this spell with a create drill. That would be wild, though. Now we've just got to take all of this, which I did mine up a little bit more right before I left, and toss this bad boy in to be smelted. So this is going to blast all of this, completely turning it all into scrap. There's no like special processing that we need to worry about, still just standard vanilla. But there are some special things that we can actually do with this once we have it, especially related to netherite ingots. So what we can do is take one of our blaze cakes from over here, and we can superheat our processing plant, and we just need to mix some things together. So I'm going to superheat this bad boy, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. What would typically make a normal craft, this should combine together and actually double the amount. So we now get 2 netherite ingots instead of 1, for the same cost that it would have made just a single one, due to the superheating. You know, that superheating makes it way less lossy. Now, even though the netherite is out of the way, that's not the hardest part. We now need to take on the boss, because we need to be able to make the marks of technomancy. To do this, Wilden tributes are required, and so a Wilden must be sacrificed. Now, just in case you've never used this before, whenever you craft up the Tablet of Summon Wilden, you don't actually have to use any of the Wilden drop resources. Instead, you can just craft an iron sword and toss this together and also make a bow. The reason why you would do this is because the base Tablet of Summon Wilden actually summons Wilden mobs that drop all of these ingredients you see here. And you're actually going to need all of these drops. You're going to need at least one of them each to summon this boss. Now, where I have gotten most of mine is just from simply looting chests, and you can find all of these strung out through multiple loot chests as you explore. But I am going to just initially summon this boss and see if I can even tank this thing. Now, something I do recommend is a shield, and having a shield, even a vanilla basic shield, is good. There's also an Ars shield that's really helpful, but a shield is probably going to be necessary, especially when we get to the spike phase. Okay, enough of me trying to spoil stuff. Something else that you might want to do is build and do this in an area that is away from your base, because the Wilden can actually destroy blocks. So I'm going to place down my brazier, and then I am going to place down my Tablet of Summon Wilden, activate that, and then you can either right click or drop these in, and once they're ready to go, the boss battle shall commence. Oh boy. And then I think I have everything ready to go that I'm going to need. A hill spell probably would have been nice. All right, but we're going to see how much damage do we actually deal with this spell and hope that we have enough. All right. The boss battle music has initiated. Oh, we have fog too. That seems kind of new. We're also going to want our dash spells to be able to dash away quickly. So having those at hand is very, very handy. There we go. Especially to get away from this guy whenever he changes phase. But look, 1,000 health in this. Speaking of phase changes, this is our first one. Oh, and this one's scary. You got to time it. And it killed me. Wow. Instantaneous. I was trying to dash right at the right time. All right. I don't think the boss is gone, though. It might actually be. Let's check. Oh, man. As soon as we get back, we should be able to pick up all of our stuff. But still, I was not expecting to die immediately. I was super late on my dash cancel, and I ate it for that. All right, let's hope that we can get in here and that our stuff is not all completely gone. Okay, we got our stuff. Most of our things should be still equipped, and we should be good to go to reinitiate this fight. This time, I'm going to dash around. There we go. This is the actual boss, though, that will kill you. Oh, man. Also, yeah, the Wilden Chimera will break blocks. Something to note. All right, now we will have the shield phase. All right, so you definitely want to shield from this guy when it does this right here. Oh, man, because these hurt quite a lot, unless you have cover, like something like this. Oh, man. It does so much damage. Okay, and it still does the flight, so we want to get out of range. Woo! Having a dash spell is so nice. All right, we've almost got the guy down. This is it. Just keep hurting it. Definitely get rid of the spike, boys. All right, and the chimera is gone. Okay, and we got ourselves a tribute. Oh goodness, this boss sometimes is easy, sometimes it's not. There are some other ways and other spells that we could use to take this boss out a whole lot faster, but I did want to show you that it is doable with something as simple as just some harm spells. And of course, a little bit of dashing. We also need a calibrated precision mechanism, which not too difficult for us to get our hands on, and we've already made one of these. But we also need a regular precision mechanism. Thankfully, the rest of this is not bad, and we get 5 marks of technomancy from this one boss kill. Once everything is in, we will consume our brand new boss reward. And yes, there are many things that we can use the actual boss reward for. So our Wildland tribute, but this right now is the main thing that I really want, the mark of technomancy. Okay, now some other things that we can actually basically get from the Wildland tribute would be upgrading our spellbook to tier 3, which is something that we are going to need to do eventually. But yes, this alone is going to be really nice. Also, specific focuses are very, very handy too. All right, now that we have the mark of technomancy, it is time to get our top hat. Oh, I'm so ready for this. First one on the list is the top hat, of course. And so we'll have our technomancy, brass, and also netherite ingot. It's going to consume almost the entire source jar for this, if it didn't just actually consume the entire source jar. And I'm excited to see what the top hat looks like. And does the colors keep? So it keeps on the item, but does the actual colors? Oh, the colors do change. Oh, they did it. Oh, this is the first add-on that I've seen for Ars that also carries the color changing effects. Oh, this is so good. And now we have a top hat. Now the rest of the gear also is just 2 brass, also a netherite ingot, and the technomancy. And all of this is going to be the same for our boots and our pants too. So finally, our boots are the last thing to be crafted and equipped. And boy, do we look spiffy. Now, settle down, gentlemen. I know that this spiffy gear, you may wonder what is actually happening behind the scenes. And well, that is a very good question. And if we actually dive into the gear set, we can see once we have a full set, each piece of gear, I think, has a different thing. Like our helmet provides the create goggles, so it augments our HUD with the information for create components, which is really, really nice. So it has an integrated create goggle set, which is really nice. But the main set, when fully equipped, reduces damage from create machinery and also increases the speed of nearby schematic cannons. That one, I'm interested to see how exactly it works. So what we should do is test this. If I go ahead and I build out an area like this, and I build a regular 3x3 cube, for example. Let's just go ahead and get this placed in like so. Nice, and we create a schematic and call it cobble cube. We don't have to capitalize. There we go, cobble cube, and we save that. Then we pull up our schematic table, place this in, and search for cobble cube. And then we put that into a schematic. We can then use a schematic cannon with a barrel. And inside of that barrel, we are going to, oh, it changes the texture around it. Oh, that's interesting. When we're nearby, it glows. Oh, that's kind of cool. So if we put the cobble nearby and we load this schematic into here, like so, at first we actually have to click where we want to print this schematic. I'm just going to place it directly on top of our existing cube. There we go. And that is set. We just need to provide it with gunpowder. So I'm going to give this some gunpowder and it's ready to go. Now let's try it without the gear completed. So we'll go ahead. This is how fast it works because I do have the config increased to be able to speed it up, but I'm wondering, does it go even faster than that? That is going to be kind of wild if it does with the gear complete. So we'll take the schematic. Again, we'll toss it in and we'll go to cobble cube. Beautiful. I'm going to set the cobble cube again directly on top of that one. Place that in and let's see. I could not honestly tell. I think with the config changed, it automatically, we are getting the fastest speed. Maybe it was a little bit faster. Let me know down in the comments below if it seemed faster. My assumption is that it would take the default config speed and then probably set it to the lowest, which is 1. So every tick, basically, it's trying to send, or every 10 ticks or something like that. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. This is one of the effects of this gear. But there's more than just that. While this is all great, the real benefit is actually through Ars itself, because it gives us another boost in our gear. So we now get an extra regen point, and we get many other things like armor toughness. This is now basically the equivalent of like netherite gear as far as damage reduction and all kinds of other effects. But we also get more mana overall and more mana regen. And more mana regen means we can spam more things quicker, and we also get our mana back, meaning we can use things faster. Oh, and not to mention, it also increases our thread capacities. Now, eventually, we're gonna have to take on the Wilden a few more times, because if we plan on getting our tier 3 spellbook, we're gonna need it, and if we plan on actually making and crafting those spells that are tier 3, which are really powerful, by the way, we are going to need to take this boss on more. Thankfully, there's some ways that we can do that I will be getting into in future episodes. But right now, there is still one more thing that we can use our final mark of technomancy for. This is yet again another thing that's going to blend us into create. And that is going to be used to make a source motor. So it just requires a few components here, but now we have ourselves a source motor, and we can use source to generate create rotational energy. So the best way to show this off is by placing it near a source jar. I'm not sure exactly how close it needs to be. Not too far away, as you can see, like this does reach over here, and this is producing not a whole lot. It's using 1 source per second and currently is generating 0 rotational speed. And so we can go ahead and use a stressometer to be able to see how much stress is being generated. And so let's just say I want to do 32 RPM. And this is generating at 32 RPM, it's generating 8,000 SU, but it's now consuming 128 source per second. And so we'll see that this is being consumed, but then this should be able to refill it whenever it reaches a certain stage, and should be able to easily keep up with this. And so you may end up needing to broaden, or we're going to need to broaden our source network here soon, but we can just generate it with lava or really anything, create massive source batteries, and we could be able to power these generators where we need them. We could even send fluid. And so we could potentially send fluid through a refined storage system, and then we can take this fluid and then convert it into source anywhere where we need like a direct rotational power that's just not coming from our main chain line. Now, here's the interesting part. We can configure how much source this actually consumes and how much stress it actually generates. So if we click on this, by the way, with a stressometer, we can configure some things. So as of right now, it's at 100% SU to RPM ratio. But if we take this down and we scroll wheel here, and we take this down to like 50%, then we are generating half the amount of stress. Still at the same rotational speed, but we are generating half the amount of stress, but now consuming also half the amount of source. So this is a way that you can optimize your motor to make sure it's not consuming more source than is needed for the current project you're working on, which is pretty cool. So yeah, setting this all the way to 256, you can see it's producing 32,000 SU, but let's say we don't need 32,000 SU. We just need a quick rotation. We can take this and drop it all the way down, and now we're not consuming as much, nor are we producing as much SU, but we're still keeping that same 256 rotational speed, which is really, really nice. So I can see this being very, very useful for very specific cases where we need to keep something sort of localized, and we can literally use our source to generate stress. Now, just a note, if we put this all the way back up at max 100%, this does produce up to 65,000 SU at full RPM. And notice, this does seem like it is kind of keeping up with it. Definitely not. So yes, you would need a more optimized source production to be able to keep up with this. It's going to start drawing from other sources, you can see over here. And it kind of makes sense because it does use a source collector in the recipe, So I would assume that it works very much like a source collector. Source collectors have a range, and they will draw source to them from jars that are nearby. And so that's kind of what it was doing. It was even pulling source from the jar all the way up here. But yeah, essentially this is like a creative motor. I mean, I really do like the idea of this thing. It is, it's pretty neat. And I'm interested to see how it gets used and or how you guys plan on using it. I've got some plans and I'm pretty excited about that. And potentially we can make another sort of stress generator, very much like our steam boilers over here, but with Ars. And since there's so many interesting ways to generate source in this pack outside of just lava, oh boy, can we make some really powerful setups. That we'll just all have to wait for a future episode. And I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. And if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. Now, of course, without further ado, I've got to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. Man, this gear is really getting to me. And that amazing thanks is going out to Donkey. Thank you so much for your amazing support in choosing to support me over on the Discord while becoming a Discord premium member and supporting my content in one of the best ways possible. You absolute boss. And thanks to all of you guys. I'll see you in the next one. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.